Nestled within the crystalline towers of the Galactic Conclave, Archseer Vrixal trembled as he delivered his prophecy to the assembled Council of Elders. His 8 eyes widened in terror, membranous wings fluttering with agitation as neural patterns danced across his translucent skin. "The humans must never be allowed to leave their solar system," he rasped, talons digging into the ancient podium. "I have witnessed their potential futures, the destruction they will bring. Their capacity for violence exceeds anything our collective has encountered in 12 millennia." High Elder Morifex rose from her hovering dais, her bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with skepticism. "Your concerns are noted, Archseer, but seem unfounded. Our reconnaissance indicates a fractured species barely capable of reaching their own moon. Their technology is primitive, their lifespans fleeting." "You misunderstand," Vrixal insisted. "It is not what they are now that concerns me, but what they will become. They adapt at unprecedented rates. They thrive in conditions that would exterminate most sentient life. And most concerning, they embrace conflict as a catalyst for advancement." From the shadows emerged Ambassador Krell of the Drovian Expanse, his exoskeleton clicking as he approached the center of the chamber. The Archseer catastrophizes. "We have studied thousands of developing species. The humans are unremarkable save for their peculiar blend of compassion and cruelty." "Precisely my point," Vrixal countered. "They are walking contradictions. They slaughter each other over imaginary boundaries yet sacrifice themselves for strangers. They create breathtaking art while designing increasingly efficient weapons. No other species toggles between such extremes." Elder Nezara, the oldest, member of the council, raised a gnarled appendage. "What do you propose, Archseer? Extinction? Containment? Both violate our most sacred principles." "Containment," Vrixal said without hesitation. "A quantum barrier around their system. Let them develop in isolation until they outgrow their violent tendencies." The chamber erupted in dissent. Such intervention hadn't been employed since the Hyzik incident 3,000 years prior. High Elder Morifex silenced the chamber with a harmonic pulse. "Ambassador Krell, your species has the most experience with emerging civilizations." "What say you?" Krell's compound eyes shimmered with calculation. "The humans possess resources we need. Their planet is rich in rare elements crucial to our hyperspace network expansion. Containment would delay our access by centuries." "So we place convenience above security?" Vrixal challenged. "We place evidence above superstition," Krell retorted. "I propose instead a program of subtle infiltration and observation. We monitor their development while gradually harvesting what we need from their outer system." Morifex considered this. "And if the Archseer's predictions prove accurate?" "Then we implement containment," Krell conceded, "but not before necessity demands it." The council voted. Krell's proposal passed by a narrow margin. As the elders dispersed, Vrixal cornered Krell in a quiet corridor. "You've doomed us all for temporary gain." Krell's mandibles formed what passed for a smile. "Your prophecies lack context, Archseer. Humans may be potentially dangerous, but they're centuries from becoming a threat." "Not centuries," Vrixal whispered. "Decades, perhaps less if properly motivated." "What motivation could possibly accelerate them so dramatically?" Vrixal's gaze bore into Krell. Desperation, fear, discovery of a hostile alien presence mining their system, the very actions you've just sanctioned. Krell dismissed this with a wave. "Your melodrama is unbecoming of your station." As Krell departed, Vrixal felt a cold certainty settle in his core. The humans would discover them. They would adapt. They would respond, and the galaxy would tremble. 7 Earth years after the Council's fateful decision, Fleet Commander Orenza stared in disbelief at the primitive vessel approaching her harvesting operation near the gas giant humans called Jupiter. Impossible, she muttered, her chromatophores flickering with alarm. They shouldn't have detected our presence, let alone reach this far into their system. Her second-in-command, Vazril, analyzed the incoming data. It appears to be a research vessel, Commander. Rudimentary nuclear propulsion, minimal weaponry, 23 organic life signs. How did they find us? Unknown. Perhaps they simply stumbled upon our operation. Their trajectory suggests exploration rather than intentional interception. Orenza considered her options. Protocol dictated immediate retreat to prevent contamination, but Ambassador Krell's directives had been clear: maintain operations until absolutely necessary to abandon them. Send the standard first contact package, she decided. Benign greeting, simplified galactic common, basic cultural overview. Commander, Vazril objected, the Council hasn't authorized official contact. They've already seen us, Orenza reasoned. Better to control the narrative than leave them with mysteries. The human vessel, the UNSE Pathfinder, received the transmission with predictable confusion. Their response came hours later, crude visual communications showing the humans in their primitive environmental suits, their leader making gestures of greeting. They seem peaceful, Vazril observed. For now, Orenza replied. Prepare a delegation, minimal security presence. Let's not frighten them. The meeting occurred in neutral space between vessels. Orenza had selected her most non-threatening crew members and equipped them with universal translators. The humans, led by Commander Elias Rivera, displayed remarkable composure upon meeting alien life for the first time. We come in peace, Rivera stated, the translator converting his words into harmonics. We represent Earth and its United Nations. Orenza performed the greeting ritual of her species. We welcome you to the greater galactic community. Our presence here was meant to be undetected until your species advanced further. You've been here long? Rivera asked. Several of your years, harvesting resources from your outer planets? A subtle change passed over Rivera's expression, imperceptible to most. But Orenza had studied human facial patterns extensively. Those resources, Rivera said carefully, belong to humanity. Vazril shifted nervously. We've only taken what you cannot yet reach. That's not the point, another human, science officer Nevena Kovac, interjected. You've been taking without asking. Your species lacks unified governance, Orenza explained. There was no authority with whom to negotiate. Rivera's voice remained diplomatic, but his posture stiffened. That authority exists now. We respectfully request you cease operations until formal agreements can be established. Orenza knew her. Instructions permitted no such concession. We understand your concern. Perhaps we can discuss compensatory arrangements? Perhaps, Rivera agreed, though something in his tone suggested otherwise. The meeting concluded cordially, but as the human delegation departed, Orenza received an urgent transmission from their outpost on Ganymede. 3 additional human vessels had been detected approaching from Mars. These were larger, their energy signatures suggesting more advanced propulsion than the Pathfinder. How is this possible? She demanded. Unknown, her intelligence officer replied. Our assessments indicated they were at least 15 years from developing such technology. Orenza suddenly recalled Archseer Vrixal's warning, perhaps less if properly motivated. Prepare for immediate withdrawal, she ordered. Send everything we've learned to the Council. The humans have just compressed decades of development into years. As her fleet retreated beyond Neptune, long-range sensors detected a transmission from Earth to the Pathfinder. When decrypted, its brevity was chilling. First contact confirmed. Proceed with Operation Sentinel. The stars are no longer beyond our reach. Archseer Vrixal's private audience with the Council marked the first time in living memory that an advisory session had been called during a lunar eclipse, a time traditionally reserved for meditation. His prophecy, once dismissed, now commanded their undivided attention. 23 years, High Elder Morifex said, her voice heavy with dread. Just 23 years since first contact, and they've already established colonies on 17 worlds across 3 star systems, and developed weapons capable of destabilizing spatial geometry, added Elder Nizara. The Drovian mining station near Proxima Centauri completely eradicated. Ambassador Krell remained conspicuously absent, his species having withdrawn from conclave affairs after the devastating loss of their harvesting fleets. Rixal's expression remained impassive. I warned you that humans would weaponize necessity. Their history is written in adaptation under pressure. By revealing ourselves prematurely, as thieves no less, we gave them the greatest gift possible. A common enemy, Morifex acknowledged. More than that, Rixal corrected. A purpose, a direction. Their fractured nations unified virtually overnight. Their scientific development accelerated exponentially once they reverse-engineered our abandoned technology. Elder Tavik, representing the militant Ardarian Dominion, leaned forward. The containment option is no longer viable. We must consider more permanent solutions before they spread further. Extinction? Nizara recoiled. Have we learned nothing? The humans have developed quantum communication that bypasses our monitoring systems, Tavik pressed. Their ships now approach the speed of our own. They've weaponized principles of physics we considered theoretical. If we wait another decade, they may match us completely. The council chamber fell silent as Strategic Overseer Peleth entered, her normally stoic demeanor visibly shaken. Honored elders, we've intercepted and decoded human military transmissions. They're not just defending, they're preparing for expansion. Their Stellar Sovereignty Initiative claims territorial rights to any system within 50 light-years of Earth. 50 light-years! Morifex's bioluminescence dimmed with shock. That includes 76 inhabited systems. They can't possibly enforce such a claim, Nizara argued. Perhaps not yet, Rixal conceded. But their trajectory is clear. They've united behind a doctrine they call never again. Their development of military technology has outpaced civilian applications by a factor of 7. On the central holographic display appeared the image of Admiral Kaida Matsuhara, recently appointed Supreme Commander of Earth's United Defense Force. Her address to the Colonial Congress played before the stunned council. The galaxy revealed itself to us as thieves in the night, stealing what was rightfully ours. We extended a hand in peace. They responded with deception. Now we extend our reach to the stars, not just as explorers, but as guardians. Humanity will never again be vulnerable. We will never again be underestimated. Tavik's appendages twitched with agitation. They speak of defense while preparing for conquest. They speak of protection while anticipating aggression, Vrixal countered. An aggression I fear you are about to provide. What would you have us do? Morifex challenged. Allow them to claim sovereign territories that have belonged to other species for millennia? I would have you recognize the consequence of your previous error, Vrixal said. Any aggressive action will confirm their fears and justify their militarization. The debate continued for hours, but Vrixal could see the trajectory forming. The Council, once dismissive of humanity's potential, now swung to the opposite extreme, paralyzing fear. As he departed the chamber, Vrixal composed a private message to Admiral Matsuhara. Though prohibited, he felt compelled by a greater responsibility than loyalty to the Conclave. The message was simple. The Council prepares for preemptive action. Your assessment of our intentions was correct. May wisdom prevail where fear now reigns. When the Ardarian battle fleet arrived at the edge of Sol system weeks later, they found not the disorganized resistance they expected, but an integrated defense grid that had anticipated their exact approach vectors. The First Interstellar War had begun. The conflict that historians would later name the Severance War unfolded with a ferocity that stunned even the most battle-hardened species of the Galactic Conclave. Humanity, so recently emerged from their isolated cradle, fought with a combination of desperation, ingenuity, and cold calculation that defied conventional military doctrine. General Vren of the Ardarian Dominion paced the command deck of the Dreadnought Immutable Truth, his chitinous exoskeleton bearing fresh scars from a recent human counterattack. "They should have broken by now," he growled to his war council. "We've destroyed 3 of their colony worlds. We've blockaded their primary supply lines. Yet they continue to strike from unexpected vectors with weapons that shouldn't exist." Strategic analyst Lofex brought up the holographic display of the latest engagement. "The humans have mastered quantum tunneling far beyond our projections. Their strike vessels appear to materialize within our formations, deploy these Nova bombs, and vanish before we can respond. They're using civilian vessels as bait," added Intelligence Director Kelvar. "When we target their refugee convoys, their hidden defenders emerge. They've weaponized our adherence to military targets." Vren slammed his war claw against the tactical table. "Because they know our doctrine, someone continues to feed them intelligence." The accusation hung in the air, unaddressed. Traitors existed in every conflict, but none could prove the mysterious informant's identity. "We've lost 11 major vessels in the past month," Lofex continued. "The Conclave expected this war to last weeks. We're now entering the 2nd year. And their Admiral Matsuhara remains frustratingly alive," Vren added bitterly. 3 assassination attempts had failed spectacularly, each resulting in the loss of elite operatives. The view screen suddenly flickered, displaying real-time footage from the Proxima front. Human forces had broken through the blockade using a new technology that disrupted the Ardarian phase shields. Earth vessels, though still technologically inferior in many respects, had neutralized this advantage through tactical adaptation. "They learn," Kelvar observed. "Each defeat teaches them. Each victory emboldens them. We thought to extinguish a spark and found ourselves fighting a conflagration." Across the battlefront, humanity's resistance had transformed into strategic offense. Earth's scientists, working with captured alien technology, had compressed centuries of development into mere years. What the humans lacked in technological refinement, they compensated for with brutal effectiveness. On the colony world of Proxima, Centauri II, Commander Zara Okafor stood amidst the ruins of what had once been New Nairobi. The Ardarian bombardment had reduced the settlement to ash, but the underground bunkers had held. Civilians had been evacuated through quantum corridors. Before the attack, a technology reverse-engineered from captured Conclave vessels. "Status report," she demanded, her voice steady despite the devastation surrounding her. Lieutenant Hiroshi Nakajima consulted his neural interface. "Operation Lazarus proceeds as planned. The Ardarians believe they've won here. Their blockade, forces have already redeployed to Tau Ceti. And our special package? Delivered via automated drone. It will reach the Ardarian homeworld in approximately 72 hours. Okafor nodded grimly. Not a weapon, a message. The package contained comprehensive evidence of the Conclave's initial deception, proof that humanity had sought peace, before resorting to war. It also contained something more devastating, an offer of conditional surrender with terms so generous they would fracture the Conclave's war coalition. Meanwhile, in the sacred chambers of the Conclave, Arch-Seer Vrixal stood accused before the Council of Elders. His unauthorized communications with humans had been discovered. "You betrayed your species, your oath, and this council," High Elder Morifex declared, her tendrils writhing with fury. "I attempted to prevent a war we cannot win," Vrixal replied calmly. Cannot win? Elder Tavik scoffed. We outnumber them. 100 to 1. Our technology is superior. Our fleets span the galaxy. And yet we lose ground daily, Vrixall observed. The humans fight not just for survival, but for vindication. Each atrocity we commit confirms their narrative and strengthens their resolve. As if to punctuate his words, an alert sounded. The supposedly impregnable defenses of the council chamber had been breached. On every display appeared the face of Admiral Matsuhara. Honored elders of the conclave, she began, her voice eerily, serene for one whose species faced extinction. Today marks one Earth Standard year since you attempted to eradicate humanity from the galaxy. You have failed. We now offer you a choice that you denied us: negotiation or escalation. The transmission ended, replaced by live footage of the human fleet emerging from quantum tunnels throughout conclave space, far deeper into their territory than believed possible. The war had entered its final phase. The observation deck of the HFY UES Prometheus offered an unobstructed view of the conclave homeworld, Axiom Prime. Its crystal spires and biomorphic architecture still took Admiral Kaida Matsuhara's breath away, despite the circumstances of her visit. Beautiful, isn't it? She said to the figure standing beside her. Hard to believe something so magnificent could spawn such callous policy. Ambassador Riven Zhao, humanity's chosen representative for the upcoming negotiations, nodded solemnly. Beauty and cruelty often coexist. Our own history proves that. Behind them, Lieutenant Commander Akene Okoro approached with a data tablet. Final confirmation, Admiral. Our quantum disruptors are in position around all major conclave worlds. The entire galactic communication network is under our control. And the package? Delivered to every sovereign species in the conclave. The reaction has been significant. Matsuhara allowed herself a grim smile. I imagine so. The package represented humanity's ultimate leverage. Not a weapon, but information. Detailed records of the conclave's initial intrusion into Sol system. The Council's debate about humanity's containment or extermination. The calculated harvesting of resources they deemed Earth unworthy of possessing. Most damning were the communications revealing the predetermined intention to prevent humanity's expansion regardless of their peaceful overtures. The council chamber is ready to receive us, Zhao noted, checking his own interface. All 67 species will be present, unprecedented. Fear is a powerful motivator, Matsuhara observed, as is truth, Zhao countered. Many of these species were told they were fighting an aggressive expansionist threat. Learning they've been complicit in attempted genocide has shaken their resolve. When they entered the ancient council chamber, the customary protocols were dispensed with. The human delegation was led directly to the central speaking dais, a position typically reserved for High Elders. High Elder Morifex's bioluminescence pulsed with barely contained rage. You have violated sacred space, bypassed defenses designed to withstand any attack. Not any attack, Matsuhara corrected. Just those you could imagine. Humanity has always excelled at the unimaginable. From his position among the accused, Archseer Vrixall observed the proceedings with a mixture of vindication and sorrow. His prophecy fulfilled, he took no pleasure in the humbling of his people. Ambassador Zhao stepped forward. We come to offer terms of peace. Peace? Elder Tavik spat the word. You surround our homeworlds with weapons of mass destruction and speak of peace? We surround your homeworlds with the consequences of your actions, Zhao clarified. Unlike you, we come with offers before ultimatums. He activated a holographic display showing the complete terms of humanity's proposed treaty. Immediate. Cessation of all hostilities. Recognition of human sovereignty over all currently inhabited human worlds. Right of exploration and colonization of unclaimed systems. Reparations for worlds destroyed and lives lost. 5. Integration of human representatives into the Galactic Conclave with equal voting rights. Public acknowledgement of the Conclave's deception and aggression. These terms are outrageous, Morifex declared. You would have us surrender our authority and admit wrongdoing? We would have you accept reality, Matsuhara replied evenly. You misjudged us once. Don't make that mistake again. A new voice entered the discussion. Ambassador Krell, whose species had suffered tremendous losses after their initial advocacy for exploiting Earth's resources. The humans' terms are harsh but fair, he said, surprising the chamber. We initiated this conflict through deception and arrogance. We have reaped the consequences. You would surrender to these primitives? Tavik demanded. I would recognize that they are no longer primitive, Krell responded. They have achieved in decades what took most of us millennia. They have survived our best efforts to destroy them. And most importantly, they offer terms when they could simply demand capitulation. The council chamber erupted in chaotic debate. Some species called for acceptance of human terms. Others advocated continued resistance. The coalition that had stood against humanity began to fracture along lines of principle and pragmatism. Admiral Matsuhara allowed the debate to continue for precisely 10 Earth minutes before activating her neural interface. Immediately, every communication device in the chamber displayed the same image, Earth's quantum fleet, now positioned around every major conclave world. We did not come to negotiate whether these terms would be accepted, she stated, silencing the room. Only how they would be implemented. You have 6 Earth hours to formalize your surrender. After that, we will demonstrate what humanity is truly capable of when pushed beyond diplomacy. As the human delegation departed, Vrixal caught Matsuhara's eye. A silent understanding passed between prophet and adversary. Respect, tinged with mutual regret for the path not taken, the countdown to peace, or annihilation, had begun. The signing of the Concordat of New Beginning took place 3 Earth Standard months after the Council's capitulation. Representatives from all 67 conclave species gathered in the newly constructed Hall of Reconciliation, built upon neutral ground in the Trappist system. Admiral Kaida Matsuhara, now elevated to Supreme Diplomatic Executor, stood at the center of the vast chamber. The weight of humanity's victory and responsibility evident in her posture. With this document, she proclaimed, we close the chapter of conflict and begin one of coexistence, not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals united by shared, cosmic citizenship. The terms had been modified since the initial ultimatum. The more punitive reparations had been softened, replaced with mutual development initiatives. In exchange, humanity received unrestricted access to conclave technological archives, knowledge that would have taken them centuries to develop independently. Arch-Seer Vrixal, pardoned for his role in aiding humanity, observed from a position of honor beside the human delegation. You were right about my people, Executor Matsuhara said quietly as the various representatives took turns applying their species' signatures to the Concordat. We are dangerous. All species are dangerous when threatened, Vrixal replied. Yours simply excels at transforming danger into progress. Some still call for your execution as a traitor, and some hail me as a visionary, Vrixal said with the equivalent of a shrug. History rarely settles comfortably on either extreme. High Elder Morifex approached, her once brilliant bioluminescence now permanently dimmed, a physiological manifestation of her species' trauma. The document is sealed, she announced. The conclave is officially restructured. Humanity holds its seat on the new Council of Equals. And the disarmament? Matsuhara inquired. Proceeding according to schedule. The Ardarian war fleets have returned to their space docks. The quantum monitoring stations confirm compliance. After Morifex departed, Ambassador Riven Zhao joined them. It's done. 50 years from now, Children of both our species will study this day in their histories. What will they learn, I wonder? Vrixal mused. That fear leads to catastrophe. That underestimating others is the path to downfall. Perhaps something simpler, Matsuhara suggested. That assumptions about potential can become self-fulfilling prophecies. Later that evening, away from the formal ceremonies, a more intimate gathering took place aboard the UES Prometheus. Commanders from the Earth Defense Force mingled with representatives of formerly hostile species, the awkward atmosphere gradually warming as universal translators facilitated increasingly candid exchanges. Commander Zara Okafor found herself in conversation with General Vryn, once her most formidable adversary in the Proxima campaign. Your tactic at the Battle of New Nairobi, Vryn admitted, was brilliance disguised as surrender. I've studied it extensively. And your phase shield technology saved millions of my people once we adapted it for our evacuation corridors, Okafor replied. War makes for strange legacies. Across the room, Admiral Matsuhara stood with Archseer Vrixal at a viewport overlooking the newly established neutral zone, a region dedicated to collaborative scientific research. The question that haunts me, Matsuhara confessed, is whether we've truly changed the pattern or merely postponed it. Will humanity, now ascendant, repeat the errors of the conclave? All sentient life faces the same struggle, Vrixal answered. The tension between fear and hope, between protection and expansion, between memory and possibility. You still speak like a prophet, she observed with a slight smile. Old habits, he acknowledged. But my visions show something unexpected now. What do they show? Integration, innovation born of diversity rather than necessity. The human capacity for adaptation channeled into creation rather than survival. Below them, on the planet's surface, the first joint human conclave settlement was taking shape. Already the architecture reflected neither purely human nor alien aesthetics, but something new, a visual representation of rapidly evolving cultural exchange. In laboratories throughout human and conclave space, scientists who had once designed weapons against each other now collaborated on technologies to extend life, explore distant galaxies, and solve ecological crises on a dozen worlds. 20 years later, a monument was unveiled at the site of first contact near Jupiter. Present at the ceremony were the aging Admiral Matsuhara, the venerable Archseer Vrixal, and representatives from every species of the former conclave. The monument bore a simple inscription in every known language. The stars belong to those who reach for them with open hands and open minds. The cosmos rewards not those who come first, but those who come together. As the solar light glinted off the monument's surface, a child, the firstborn to human and conclave hybrid parents, placed a time capsule at its base. Inside were seeds from Earth, crystal fragments from Axiom Prime, and a small data crystal containing the complete unaltered history of the conflict and reconciliation. Humans had indeed changed the galaxy, not merely through their capacity for war, though that had forced the initial recognition, but through their even greater capacity for transformation. The species once deemed too dangerous to leave their solar system had become the architects of a more integrated cosmos. The elders had known what humans could do when threatened. What they hadn't foreseen was what humans could inspire when victorious. As the ceremony concluded, Vrixal turned to Matsuhara. You asked once what children would learn from our conflict. Now we know. What's that? She asked. That warning's unheeded. Become lessons hard learned, he said. But that even the harshest lessons can yield wisdom if we survive them. Matsuhara gazed at the monument gleaming against the backdrop of Jupiter. And sometimes, the most feared enemy becomes the most valued. Teacher, the galaxy would never be the same. And in the vast cosmic accounting, perhaps that was exactly as it should be.